Clickbait? Yeah, kind of. But also,
No.
really, this thing, it's finished. It's doomed, done, finito, kaput, headed for the history books. Not tomorrow, don't worry, and no doubt I'll see you in the queue for the iPhone 15. But sooner than you think. Now that might seem like a pretty outlandish claim, and I should preface all this by saying that if you haven't watched our recent video, everyone is wrong about the metaverse, including you, then stop right now, attention retention be damned, crack open a Fraz, and prepare to have your preconceptions shattered. In that video, another posh English bloke laid out the BasedAF thesis on the metaverse, which reminds me to remind you to subscribe to our channel if you want to keep your finger on the pulse. But he also dared to say the unsayable, that the smartphone is going the way of the dodo. What? Now the mighty iPhone's imminent demise may not actually be that imminent, and certainly no cause for Galaxy users to prematurely ejaculate all over their 7-inch displays because, well, they're even more screwed. Sorry, but it does now feel inevitable, and it all hinges on this. WWDC, the Worldwide Developers Conference, where in just a matter of weeks, Apple CEO Tim Cook is widely expected to unveil the most significant new product since, well, a very long time. And it's this that could just spell the beginning of the end of the iPhone era, a kind of big tech equivalent to Harry Kiri. This is not the Reality Pro, or the Reality One, or whatever the hell the gigabrains are gonna call it. Can you take that, please? And according to leaked documents from a mysterious shell company called Immersive Health Solutions, it will mark Apple's long-awaited foray into the Appleverse. Oh yes, the 4 forbidden words at Apple Park are allegedly metaverse and I miss Steve. The company formerly known as Facebook might leave plenty to be desired in the marketing department.
Now let's move that thing and jump into the metaverse.
But the name, brilliant. Top Apple execs now bend over backwards to avoid using the term metaverse at all, unless to somehow undermine it.
The metaverse is
a word I'll never use.
Yeah, I'm good with that.
And that's surely because to the average Joe on the street, the metaverse and meta are one and the same. So hats off to the Zuck-ish. I mean, it's also something of a self-inflicted wound, and one of the main reasons many people think the metaverse is whack. To which I only say,
You think the metaverse is lame, yo? Are you insane, bro?
and that you should go, and I cannot stress this enough, and watch our recent video. Anyway, for all its so-called metaverse skepticism, Apple looks poised and ready to unleash a snazzy new headset with word on the street suggesting it could boast some pretty impressive specs. We're talking 2 high-res 4K OLED displays, ooh, 12 tracking cameras, ooh, LiDAR sensors, an external battery pack, powered to the nines with 16 gig of RAM, an advanced M2 chip, all running on a brand spanking new operating system, codename XROS. This is maybe a big deal. Wow. Because finally, at long last, we have a good old-fashioned battle of the titans. A heavyweight slugfest pitting 2 competing visions of the future, headset to headset. I mean, I'm not here for the tech, I'm here for the drama.
Yes, queen.
In one corner, weighing in at $10 billion down the pisser, mass layoffs and flying the flag for fully immersive virtual reality, the almost asexual, and I gotta be real, profoundly uncool Meta, with its legs, upon which users can explore horizon worlds and conduct weirdly childish business meetings.
It's really great for kind of focused work.
And you know what, I actually don't want to dunk on Zuck, but it's just so hard not to. And this is coming from someone who spends a lot of time on his Meta Quest. In the other corner, representing augmented reality, and expected to come in at a bargain basement steal, $3,000, a headset that you just know is gonna make this, at least from the outside, pale in comparison. Now, why does Apple need this? Well, check it out. The numbers don't lie, and they show what Apple execs will have known for years, that we have passed the point of peak iPhone. Yes, it still dominates in terms of market share, but pretty much everyone who wants one has one. In fact, they've probably had 5 different models across the past decade.
So what?
And as much as the specs and UI are improving year on year, the true innovation, well, it's already happened. And save for something truly remarkable, convincing the majority of Android users to convert is pretty unlikely at this point. I mean, for those of us who actually remember this.
iPhone. Everything you will ever need. How much battery life does it have? 20 minutes.
Now that was something. Fast forward to last year,
You can even get more workout details in the fitness app with the new enhanced workout summary.
It just doesn't really pack the same punch. And obviously I don't mean that disparagingly, nor am I a total moron because when a new and improved model drops, people want it, myself included. But here's the bold prediction. The iPhone is 16 years old, and I'd be willing to eat a shoe if 16 years from now, the idea of carrying around what is effectively an iPad in your pocket, which doesn't even fit in one's pocket anymore, is going to seem as absurd as AirPods did when they first launched. Which isn't a great analogy because, yeah, we all got used to them real fast, but you know what I mean. While some younger viewers of this may not even be able to remember nor imagine a world before these things, a subsequent generation will look back at them as a historical curiosity. Now don't get me wrong, the Reality Pro, if that's actually what it's going to be called, is not going to replace the iPhone, at least not directly, thank goodness. My 90-year-old grandma's finally figured out how to send an SMS. The thought of trying to teach her how to navigate a headset, nightmare. But it could signal a strategic shift away from the portable to the wearable, and eventually the surgically embedded, from a off retina display to the most dazzling screen of all, the world.
Take you wonder by wonder.
Apple's apparent focus on AR suggests it differs from Meta's emphasis on VR, creating a virtual space where users can socialize, work, and walk with actual legs in a fully immersive environment. We'll know more soon enough, but the indications so far have been that instead of focusing primarily on VR, Apple's vision is centered on integrating its existing hardware and software ecosystem with a familiar and intuitive augmented reality experience, making for a seamless extension of the already widely Apple-fied world. The challenge, of course, will be convincing the public at large that this is a truly must-have product. Up there with the iPod and of course its eventual successor, the iPhone. I mean, the Apple Watch is cool and all, is it though? But it still needs a phone to work properly. But it's just not that wow.
Not very impressive.
Apple hasn't had a holy moment that's reached the general public for ages.
And so I can just move them further apart and stretch the image.
And with an expected price tag in excess of 2,000 buckaroonies, the Reality Pro, well, it probably isn't going to be it.
Very tasteful, although expensive.
But it could normalize what Meta has frankly struggled to do. This, actually wearing a headset, because while I might be used to doing so and generally think it's one of the richest and most vibrant experiences I can have from the comfort of my own home, well, I wouldn't put it on my Tinder profile, if I had one. Headsets are only going to get better and less unwieldy. And unlike iPhones, where consumers seem to actually want ever larger models, to the point that you literally can play paddle with them, headsets will only really flourish when A, you don't have to carry them around in a profoundly uncool special backpack, and B, we get that killer app that makes everyone not just want one, but feel they actually need one. And while they offer something uniquely different, a successful headset could pave the way for what is clearly the next step in all this: glasses. Now, I don't want to go too deep into the weeds of speculation here, but Apple is widely understood to be developing AR glasses, complete with cool-sounding meta lenses that would become the ultimate interface between the world and the App Store. A headset with an external battery pack is, let's face it, an at-home/at-work product. And as much as Apple might not care to admit at this stage, a portal into fully immersive virtual environments. Glasses, now that feels like the obvious replacement for the too-big-for-the-pocket pocket computers of today. And while previous efforts to popularize AR glasses haven't quite delivered, talk about an understatement, there's a case to be made that they were simply ahead of their time. The departure from the age of information to the age of intelligence, which has seen a very hungry Apple busily snapping up startups and wooing top talent for the past few years. And of course, Apple has been integrating AI and indeed AR, like its standard Measure app, for some time now, as well as fostering AR development with an SDK or software development kit called ARKit, which includes tools for motion tracking, plane detection, and lighting estimation, which allows developers to create AR experiences for iOS devices. With large language models coming on leaps and bounds, you can bet that Siri is going to get really good really fast.
I'm sorry, Dave. I'm afraid I can't do that.
And the introduction of the maybe-called Reality Pro is going to see AR development and products unleashed in their full glory. Now, to go off on a slight but relevant tangent, you might have seen this recent TED Talk demo going around in which Imran Chowdhury showcases an AI device that you can wear on your jacket or shirt. Chowdhury is a former Apple senior designer who, along with ex-senior software engineer Bethany Bongiorno, founded a startup called Humane. These guys know a thing or two about smartphones, and they went off and raised $100 million in a Series B funding round to develop something similar, but oh so entirely different. A tiny, discrete device that can project digital information onto almost any surface. It's like having your very own R2-D2 projecting vital information data onto the palm of your hand. But instead of fighting the Empire, you're just answering your phone.
Hello?
According to Chowdhury, our first device will enable people to bring AI with them everywhere. He even demonstrated how the wearable could translate speech into other languages and manage his food preferences. And it's all part of Humane's goal of reimagining the human-technology relationship by removing the need for a traditional screen. In the recent video that I will plug just one final time, Supermassive talked about the move towards spatial computing, a way for computers and devices to understand the world around them and interact with it almost as if they're part of it. Which is presumably what Apple is trying to achieve with its fancy new ski goggles and possible future spectacles. Humane centers on the idea of ambient computing.
The ultimate interface with computing is one that completely disappears.
Which is when computers and devices blend into the background of your life and help you out without you even realizing they're there. They can listen to your voice, sense your movements, and understand what's happening in the environment to provide you with useful information. Now, Chowdhury named the company Humane in a nod to the screen addiction that blights us all. Oh my God. He's banking on smartphone fatigue as the next chapter of telecommunications, which lines up with the idea that even the market leaders are thinking ahead to a time when having to literally stuff a $1,000 device into our not quite big enough pockets seems like a frankly dumb and old-fashioned idea. In other words, spatial computing is a building block for ambient computing. And by combining the former's ability to understand and navigate the physical world with ambience, availability, and responsiveness, well, then we have a recipe that makes the notion of an extinct iPhone far more palatable. Now, this might not feel like the metaverse per se, not least given our favored definition of the word, the internet built by game developers. But it doesn't take much imagination to see how a world in which spatial and ambient computing begin to blur the lines between physical and digital worlds, in which that is totally normalized, taking us one step closer to the metaverse as something that isn't just the domain of gamers or grown-ups still living in mum's basement like me, but everyone, like my grandma. Nope, I still can't see it. Now, there's so much more to unpack, like the privacy element to all this, not to mention the ultimate, already ongoing feud between the two Tims, and how all this fits, or doesn't, with the idea of an open metaverse. A metaverse built not just by game developers, but on a series of protocols that allow total interoperability between platforms. But that can wait, because we'll know lots more about all this stuff in June, if and when Tim Cook actually unveils the headset. In the meantime, that's it from me. Make sure to like and subscribe, and as ever, as always, stay based.